Uh, a very good afternoon, everybody. Today, semester 2 students are going to make introductory presentation on George Orwell's very famous novel, 1984. Okay? So, let me invite the students to make their presentations on 1984. Yeah? We have four students, this group of four students, and they are Asha, Divya, Kusum, and Dhatri, and they are going to make an introductory presentation on 1984, a novel by George Orwell. Yes, so now you can start your presentation.
Very good afternoon, everyone. We are going to introduce the presentation on 1984 by George Orwell. So it is our table of content: introduction of author, introduction of novel, story overview, character of novel, then themes of the novel, symbol of the novel, then purpose of newspeak glossary, the mutability of history, the dangers of surveillance, 1984, and the power of technology, then graphic adaptation, and then conclusion. I am deal with this introduction of author. 1984 written by Eric Arthur Blair. He also wrote most of work by his pen name George Orwell. He is a novelist, essay, journalist, and critic. He was born in 25 June 1903 in Motihari in India. Then he graduated in Eton University. He decided to left his college and he had to join in British Imperial Army from 1922 to 1927, and he served in World War II as a home guard in England. And his work is characterized by lucid prose, social criticism, opposition to totalitarianism, and support of democratic society. And we can say that he was a champion of individualism, freedom, because he also got his work against totalitarianism, uh, and his major work are Animal Farm, Shooting an Elephant, 1984, The Road to Vegan Fair, Homage to Catalonia, Keep the Aspidistra Flying, Burmese Day, Coming Up for Air, Facing Unpleasant Facts. And his lifestyle are mostly they are never use metaphor and simile, and he never use passive tone uh, where active tone is usable. Then come forward to introduction of novel. It originally published on 8 June 1949, and it's setting in 4 April 1984 London in the mythical country of the Oceania. And genre is science fiction, dystopian fiction, social science fiction, and political fiction. There are three important concepts of this novel. Utopia. Utopia is a perfect paradise that doesn't exist, but we all dream of anyway. Utopia is a pleasure provider. It is an imaginary society. There are no one is bad, and Thomas More used this term is first time. Then used dystopia. The 1984 is considered as a dystopian novel. Dystopia means it is a totally opposite of a utopia. It describes an imaginary society. Means it's unpleasant society. Um, there are perfect society gone wrong, uh, and dystopia connect with utopia term. Dystopia is actually is a Greek term, and it defines an imaginary place or imaginary state in which the condition of the life is extremely bad. Utopia and dystopia is referred to word which is devoid is freedom, which is full of deprivation and authoritarianism, as where there is control over man and woman. Then totalitarian. What is a totalitarianism? It is if the government has complete and absolute power over the people, that totalitarianism. This is a represent unfree type of society, means a total over of one type of party which is led by called Big Brother. A form of rule it which government attempt to maintain total control over society, including all aspects of the public and private life. There are one slogan everyone speak that Big Brother is watching you, means party is watching you. Yeah, you cannot do whatever you want. Nowadays, everyone said that my life, my rules. But here, the Big Brother is watching. It is continuously reminding people that camera is watching you. You cannot do whatever you want. You cannot what you want. You cannot fall in love also. And if you want to marry people, so for only birth of child, you cannot do whatever you want. Then a story overview. The book is set in 1984. Is Oceania. Oceania is huge society and Eurasia and Australia to, both are the enemies of Oceania. One of three perpetually worried, worrying totalitarian state. Oceania is governed by the All Control Party, which has brainwashed the population into unthinking obedience to its leader, Big Brother. The party has created a propagandistic language known as a newspeak. Newspeak is one type of language which is tough, hard to difficult to understand, which is designed to limit free thought and promote the party doctrine. Its words include a double think, which is reflected in the party's slogan. Uh, War is peace, freedom is slavery, and ignorance is strength. The party maintained control through the thought police and continuously uh, surveillance. The inner parties control the country, and outer party are controlled by the inner party. Uh, Here, Orwell create a world in which citizen has no right to personal life, personal thought. Here is a Winston Smith. It is a protagonist of the novel and main character. As we see, Winston Smith is fall in love with her sexual affair with Julia, and he is a 39 year old, and he is very smart, and he is against to party. Winston is a sick of his job fabrication and changing history at the Ministry of. He has also worked in Ministry of Truth. And uh, Winston Smith has a sexual affair with Julia. He trusts her and shares his rebellion thought with her. And Winston wants to get involved with Oberyn, who he thinks is a part of a Brotherhood rebellion. Eventually, at the end, both Winston and Julia are captured by the party. So, why did George Orwell wrote 1984? Uh, he wrote to warn the dangers of totalitarianism, example of Soviet Union, and against of the absolute power. Uh, uh, Here are uh, one poetry which is make Chat GPT gives me generate poetry on 1984. बड़े भाई की निगाह हर दिशा में पेबल, बिग ब्रदर देख रहा है ये कैसा है बंदर, सत्य मंत्रालय झूठ का जाल बिछाए, अतीत मिटाया वर्तमान को मिटाए, सोच पर पहरा प्रेम पर पाबंदी, स्वतंत्रता का स्वप्न, एक दूर की फंदी, विंस्टन विद्रोह, जूलिया का साथ, दो विद्रोही दिल, एक क्रांति का हाथ, दोहरी बोली का खेल, सत्य का मरोड़, बिग ब्रदर जानता है तुम्हारा हर एक शब्द, विचार पुलिस का छाया, हर पल हर दम, आजादी की किरण ढूंढे है ये कब हम. And here one quote is by George Orwell, who control the past, control the future, who control the present, control the past. Uh, and I would like to call Kusum for further information.
Okay, so I will deal with soul of novel as we see characters of novel. There are four major characters we can say. First one is Winston Smith. So the protagonist of the novel, Winston Smith, is 39 years old man who worked in Ministry of Truth. So there is various ministries in the novel like Ministry of Peace, Ministry of Truth, Ministry of Love, and etc. So one of them is Ministry of Truth, in which Winston Smith is working. Winston is an immature intellect who nuts a sacred hatred of the party. So this thing we can say type of kind of archetypal because on every bad or a good propaganda or a group there is one or some people who against the party the propaganda. So Winston Smith we can see here who is against the party, who is against the propaganda of Big Brother. Winston is in love with Julia, but affairs is short-lived and girl is arrested. Because as we know by a story overview by Asha, that to love someone is a crime in this society. That is why. Extensive torture and humiliation which forces him into submission. So this is a, we can say, the punishment to love someone, that he tortured, he humiliated by the police and all. At the end of the novel, he loses all rebellious thoughts, gains unadulterated love for Big Brother and the party. There is one thing that which maybe forget Asha, that in the novel, as we know that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, but George Orwell mentioned that if you are a follower and if you are a follower of a Big Brother party, so you have to say, if party says that 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. So at the end of the novel, we can say that Smith શીખી ગયેલો that 2 plus 2 is equal to 5 instead of 4. And another important character is Julia. She is 26 years old who is worked in a Department of Fiction, Ministry of Truth. So Department of Fiction is worked under the Ministry of Truth. She also secretly despised the party but accept its rule over her. She was not quite rebellious as like as much as Winston. Julia declared her love for Winston, thus beginning their affairs and setting them down the path towards their eventual imprisonment. This Julia and Winston, they both are fell in love, and they because to love or to date someone is a crime on this society. So they choose a place like a countryside or the place where no one can notice him. Like the one place mentioned in novel that. The place where lower class people used to relax and all. Julia and Winston caught and arrested by the third police. When they meet again after their releases, she was spiritless, physically broken, and even nurses of working dislike for Winston. So once they were fell in love, and at the end we can see that in the whole novel we can see the situation of Winston Smith and no, Julia is almost same. Like they are work in same ministry, they are against the party, their thoughts are matching, they are love each other, their situation is same, they like both each other, and at the end their situation is the same, like we can say the brainwash. The another character is O'Brien. Here comes our we can say our villain, the antagonist, a prominent inner party member, and these are some qualities of our great villain. O'Brien is a large, graceful, and clearly intelligent man who leads Winston to believe he is part of an underground movement. So that is why he is a villain. We can say a novel, because first he interprets that I am against the society, and all over he try to capture the whatever the situation in society, that who are the people who against the party. but in fact helped turn Winston for a thought crime and torture him in the Ministry of Love. So he was the person who fought Julia and Winston, and he was a person who tortured Julia and Winston. He can be fatherly, and even here comes another qualities of O'Brien. He can be fatherly and even tender. We can see in the novel as well. This even while fanatically expressing his devotion to the party by torturing Winston. So he is also, we can say, the archetypal, because whether the propaganda or the group is wrong or right, but there is some people who blindly follow the propaganda. So O'Brien is, we can say, the face of that party. And yeah, yes, this big brother, and not a not a Amit Shah, but here we can say his name is Emmanuel Goldstein, the symbol of Oceanian and the party. Big brother is Oceanian supreme. So as you can see the picture, see, just imagine that these kind of pictures are all over in our class. See it, how it does disappointing us. So in this novel, George Orwell says that these kind of posters are everywhere. Even the houses, like we can say, these houses are made of glasses. Every time and every movement, someone is watching you, someone is capturing your all the movements. So how disappointing is this? So with this, only this picture, we can we can say we can interpret whole the novel, the totalitarianism, the Orwellian society, the cruelty of society. Only one picture. See, omniscient telescreen projection points and even large posters warning Big Brother is watching. You see, this quotation is also how annoying it is. So these are the important characters of novel. And for further discussion, I would like to invite Divya. A very good afternoon to everyone. I will go through the themes and the symbols of the novel. First one is totalitarianism. How the themes is significant in the novel. In writing 1984, Orwell's main goals was of the serious danger totalitarianism poses to the society. He goes to great lengths to demonstrate the terrifying degrees of power and control a totalitarian regime can acquire in the maintenance. In such regimes or notions of personal rights and freedoms and individual thoughts are pulverized under the all power hand of the government. As we find in the novel that how the totalitarianism work under the control under the big brothers and socially, economical and political, how they control the people or citizens of the Oceania. And the party is unflow in its universal control over society, as evidenced by its ability to break even an independent thinker such as the protagonist, Winston, and has mastered every aspect of psychological control. Even we find in the novel how the emotions or the control all the people feelings, as Asha mentioned that the love and relationship or all that things are controlled under the big brothers, as big brothers are watching you and you are controlled under the big brothers, largely through utilizing technological development to their advantage. Second one is propaganda. This is the major things we find in the novel, that a major factor in the party's rule. Party's rule means the big brothers we find the rule over Oceania lies in the extremely well organized and effective propaganda machines. The Ministry of Truth, in the novel we find the five ministry. The Ministry of Truth, second one is Ministry of Peace, and in the under the people are work on the under in the ministry, and which is ironically where Western works in the Ministry of Truth is responsible for the disseminating all the party publication and informations, and Western work in the Ministry of Truth, and that's why at the end we find that how he tortured because of his information and truth he collect and publish his diary and journal. All the figures, facts come from the Ministry of Truth by the Winston, and all are dictated by the party. Third one is independence and identity. Through its effective psychological manipulation tactics, as we find in the strategy of the big brothers, how manipulate the mind of the people and citizens to live under the control of the her rules, or the party destroy all sense of independence and individuality. Everyone wears the same clothes, even eats the same food, and lives in the same grungy apartments also. Life is uniform and orderly. No one can stand out and no one can be unique. As Asha mentioned that my rules and to have an independent thought borders on the criminal. And the theme independence and identity, we find that the theme comes to the head during at the end of the novel. Winston's torture when Winston argues that he is a man, and because he is a man, O'Brien cannot tell him what he thinks. And O'Brien, who was not at the reality of what Winston doing, and counters that if Winston is the man, he is the last man on the earth because O'Brien knows that the reality, and that's why he said that because your does or what you do, and if the big brothers has not the reality, and that's why you are the last man of the earth. Fourth one is technology. Technology is extremely important tool that the party use to maintain control over its citizen. In the technology, we find the one symbol is telescreen. It is very important symbol. So we find in the further. Without telescreen, the thoughts for police would not be nearly as effective, and propaganda would not be too widespread. The constant supervision of the telescreen effectively imprisons citizens of Oceania in their daily lives. They are always under observation. And through the telescreen and the cameras which are surrounded of the city, and all people are monitoring by the big brothers what they do and what they are move or direction or even though their relationship with each other. Fifth one is a list. Newspaper plays an extremely important role in the Oceanian society, and the parties control over its population. As the sign says, that newspaper reduce the limits the number of words in the English language and removes the word used to describe rebellion or the independence. And the party works for the language around itself rather than naturally uh, accepting and assuming the language of the people that make up the country. In this way, language is used as the another mechanism or mind control. In the language, we find that and Whitson was write the diary in his general language symbolizes Whitson use her thought, while the big brothers are control the emotions and all that. How people express their emotions and in the what they feel, they are in the protagonist Winston who write the diary in general, and through the diary he write her own thoughts in the genre or in the language. And now is the symbols of the novel. The first one is a telescreen. As I already mentioned, the telescreen is very important thing in the novel, as the portrait is the smart device because smart device that was spying on Oceania citizens, and all the members of all citizens are the control under the telescreen. In the novel, telescreen becomes symbol of absolute propaganda and total control, absence of and we also said that telescreen is the eye of big brothers, and big brothers always are to spying on the peoples or citizens, what they do or what their directions. Second one is 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. As Kusum mentioned that we know that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. But in the novel, as you are the follower of the big brothers, or you are living in Oceania, you are always, as we know that sun always rise, blooms on the earth. But we are the follower of the big brothers. So you are by forcing, you are accepted that no, sun is blossom in the north also. 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. Wilson had to admit to these famous calculations when he was tortured by two police. This is the symbol of vivid false statements that is accepted socially in the society governed by a totalitarian ideology. Third one is the memory of us. Wilson's job was about changing the news. He was working in the Ministry of the Truth, and the news so that he is matched the reality that Oceania wanted its citizens to see. In his office, there were three holes in the wall, and for not one change that had to be made. for the news that had to be edited and for recycling of all the materials. And the Wilson knows all the reality, but even though he was not able to fight against Big Brothers, and they were called memory halls, a symbol of way to destroy and alter memories of thousands of people. Memories halls are also symbol of distorted communication and channels in Oceania used as a brainwash and its citizens how the brainwash and at the end Julia and Wilson also accepted and to the broken both are broken and apart from each other. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite Hadvi.
First, let us have a look on the cover of the 1984. So it is the cover. Uh, on the very first side of the cover, there is an eye. That means very theme of the novel is represented here. That Big Brother is watching. Using of red color also symbolize the communism and the idea of resisting. That there is a sense of danger and urgency which is lying in the novel. And at the back cover, there is a use of color orange and there is a leaves. So if we do the archetypal leaves symbolize the growth. And here with the use of orange color, we find that there is a hope with the resistance of Winston and Julia that there could be uh, something will happen in the future if we take care of that. Moving further, the purpose of newspeak. So the newspeak, as all the fellow presenter mentioned, that newspeak is for making a vocabs which is connected with the part, and it has also a idea of using the language of dictator, and they have a specialized language which has very limited vocabs, and it also has corrupted the thoughts of the people, and that is why people are not able to think beyond that vocabulary. That also in the essay, George Orwell, the essay named Politics and English Language, he said that this use of this totalitarian language is leads to the narrow down the idea, and that is why people lost the ability to question, and that's what happened with Winston and Julia as well in the novel. Uh, Basically, the purpose of the newspeak is to manipulate the language which is there, and with that they snatches the freedom of the people at the time. And there is also word limit elimination in the newspeak. And for example, if there is opposing idea is there, then they remove that idea. That means if there is a word good, then there is no need of a word bad. So they remove the bad, and that all the negative words which can harm the party, they remove this, and they add just prefix and suffix to the same word, like plus good or ungood, instead of using bad. Uh, Also, the uh, if you look at the vocabulary of newspeak, then double think, like the power of holding two contradictory beliefs in one's mind, simultaneously accepting both of them. So Winston goes through that, and if you are going through that, then you are committing crime, and that leads to the thought crime. Sorry, double think. Then thought crime. Any of the form of thinking is not lined with the principle of part, and Winston thinks about to resisting the part, and that is why he had done thought crime, and that leads to the torture. Another is Ministry of Truth. Truth, the government department responsible for propaganda, altering historical records and rewriting the news. As Aldi fellow presenter mentioned about this, uh, another important word is Big Brother, the party leader and omnipresent figure watching over the city. Newspeak, telescreen, memory hole. So all these words are somehow connected with the Orwellian vocabulary, which is specialized used by Orwell in this. Moving further, the role of author. So Winston's work in Minister of Truth is that he has to distort the information. So whatever the truth is coming to him, he has to manipulate that truth according to the party's uh, rules and regulations. So he knows the reality, and that is why he is thinking about resistance, because he is aware about
the reality of the time. And that is why he also creates a lie, and whatever the truth is there, he was burning. So there is a basically that he is burning the truths and then manipulating the information. And there is also a danger of printed word. And as Divya mentioned, that there is no need of diary and journal. Instead of that, Winston is writing that by sitting nearby the telescreen, and he is writing that, so cannot caught by the telescreen or the big brother. So he is doing that. In a way, this act is also a kind of resistance, whatever is there. And that is why there is a danger. If you are doing that, then you are committing the thought crime. So in that way, it is a danger. Another thing is the books are banned in this Orwellian society. So in that way, they are not able to write their whatever the truth or reality is there. And another idea is control over letters and books. The idea of vaporization, which I have talked earlier, that they are burning the whatever the truth or reality is there, and that they're turning into the ashes. Another thing is that books are written by machine. That means if it is written by machine, you can manipulate the language. So that is happening in that. And canonical works were translated in that, like the Shakespeare's work, but it has whatever the essence is there, that was translated according to the party's rules and regulations. So there is also a manipulation of fiction in the novel also. There also another important, most important book is the theory and practice of oligarchical collectivism. It is considered as the Bible of the Orwellian society. So in this book, there is a rules and regulation of party. If you compare it with the real life examples, then may come or my struggle by the Adolf Hitler. He himself wrote this book. So by then he promotes this book. So in a way, this book is quite connected. Is this another book is a quotations from Chairman Mao Zedong. So these all books are used by party members to create or spread the ideas which is the ruling ideas of the party. And similar to this kind of books, uh, mutability of history. So truth, if the party denies that it is not truth, so it cannot be truth. Fact is different, and truth which is made by party is different, and people are considering that truth. And if you look at the totalitarian tactics, then fascist Germany and Soviet unions are practicing this kind of rules and regulation or manipulation of history in the time. And that is why this quote is there: who controls the past control the future, who control the present control the past. And Winston's role in the novel is to manipulate the information. So in present time, we are finding that we are reintroducing the syllabus, removing the all the whichever history is there, like Muslims, kings, and all the wars and all. So we are removing and adding our own Indian knowledge system. So we are also kind of doing that kind of a manipulation with the history, and there is a dynamic nature, and in that way, dictators can manipulate the language and especially the history, whatever the way they want to write it.
I think it is disconnected, or you need to reshare the things. Please reshare. Yeah. to unmute. Your mic is muted and sharing has stopped. Maybe the internet has been disconnected from that laptop. Okay, you can start now.
Okay, so in that article, he stated that with the development of television and technical advance, which made it possible to receive and transmit simultaneously on the same instrument, private life came to an end. So with that, the private life of the people are also on the under the everyone's eye, that everyone can do that. They can one can know about that, and that also raises the question about how far the surveillance or the technology can harm humans' freedom. If you look at the graphic adaptation, which is very recent of 1984, it is a masterpiece of 20th century, and we find that lots of adaptations are there in whether it is movie or a very popular genre nowadays is the graphic adaptation, and it is a picture form, so readers can enjoy it in a more way. And as it is a masterpiece, so it is very demanding in the nature also. It was by acclaimed artist Fibonacci, and all these works were illustrated by him, and he draws all the works, and he also designed all the works. So it was very recent, like 15th May 2021. So in the conclusion, as long human beings are human, they will not stop loving, hating, or fighting. The issues raised in 1984 are still relevant. In our pursuit of progress, may we safeguard the principle of truth, privacy, and individual freedom, ensuring that the light of human dignity continues to shine amidst the shadow of control. So, technological advancement would happen in the future too, but the ethics which is connected with it is the question, and that humans has to look for that. And with the last quotation of the George Orwell, I would like to end my presentation that until they become conscious, they will never rebel. And until after they have rebelled, they cannot become conscious. So this is the references, and thanks.